hurricane, floods, catastrophe.
It was devastating.
And the victims aren't just people. Thousands of animals are stranded, alone and in distress.
They had no food, they had no water.
And hope is fading.
My first thought was, oh my God, how are we going to get these animals out of here?
Jim and Debbie Shackelford lived in Burgon, North Carolina with their cows and a retired racehorse, the beloved Mr. Jim.
I love my animals. We had a little miniature ranch.
But this 4,000-strong community finds itself right in the path of a deadly hurricane. Hurricane Floyd batters 300 miles of coastline, unleashing 110-mile-an-hour winds and unrelenting rains. The worst storm in 100 years causes flooding of biblical proportions.
The Northeast Cape Fear River crested at about 23.5 feet. It was up to rooftops. People were living in their attics.
Local veterinarian Cindy Burnett and then husband Buster Leverett are surrounded by rising water.
The agencies made arrangements for the humans to be taken out of the area.
When they were brought up by the National Guard, they weren't allowed to take anything but themselves and the clothes on their back. No luggage, no pets, no nothing.
Some animals make it out. Here, a helicopter crew member wades into the floodwaters to help save a procession of dogs. But they're the lucky ones. Thousands of other animals are stranded. No one's going to rescue them. So Buster and Cindy decide they have to get in a boat and go save the animals themselves.
I was not part of any kind of rescue group or any fire department. It became apparent to me and Cindy that there were more animals there that needed to be taken care of.
In no time, they find mules and horses up to their necks in water.
We rescued 3 horses and a mule. We sedated them, attached them to the boat.
Watch as Buster holds the mule's head above water as they head to dry land where residents have gathered.
So when they saw that we were taking animals out of the water, they would write on napkins where their houses were, and they would tell us that they had a dog or a cat.
And so the rescue effort gathers pace.
A few situations, the animals basically went ballistic on you. They just grabbed you. Especially cats. They were very prone to want to just hold on and not let you maintain any kind of control.
It is a study in the way animals behave under stress.
We had boats that had cats and pit bulls and chickens all in the same boat. They just sat there and they wanted us to help them.
After 5 days, just when these angels of mercy thought they'd seen it all, a sight rips their hearts out. The Shackelford's horse, Mr. Jim, and 4 cows, 2 of them calves, are huddled on the deck of their house.
The water in my yard, in my backyard, was close to 9 foot deep. My son and I, we picked them up on the porch, barely. We barely made it, but we got them on the porch.
The porch is a temporary place of safety, but 5 days of standing up to their necks in polluted water is taking its toll.
They had been beaten down by the weather and the cold for hours on hours and end.
The water's coming up on them. Hypothermia is setting in.
Standing for 5 days on the raised deck, the toxic water is now eating into their flesh.
Their skin would have become rotten from the polluted water.
Then Jimmy has an idea. A few hundred yards from the house is a creek where Jimmy has a floating dock. This flat wooden boat landing is secured to the riverbank, but actually floats on the surface of the water. Jimmy wonders if they can float the dock over to the house, where the animals are, board them, then turn it into a giant life raft, and carry the animals to dry land.
When my husband first mentioned this idea to me, I did not think it would work.
When I come to get it, it was 20 foot from where it is now, 20 foot high, wedged in the tree. When I went to cut it loose, there was a big old rattlesnake laying in the corner, scared me to death.
By now, local farmer George Steinmark is helping.
This is the boat I used during the rescue.
And his boat has 2 engines on the back.
Whenever I'd get in the current, I'd use the big motor, drop it down, and that would give me the extra power. I used the second motor, which is a 6-horse, when I was in somebody's yard needing to get in close to the house or getting over top of the fences and the debris. And I'd let it down and go in real slow and easy. And when we got ready to push the cattle and stuff up, I let both motors down. We had plenty of power.
Between them, George and Buster push the dock up against the house. What happens next amazes the rescuers.
It was so remarkable that these people were just able to lead these animals up on this floating dock. They acted like they had done it every day of their lives.
I think part of the reason that the boarding of the floating dock was so easy is because the animals had a sense that we were there to help.
Now they have to push the makeshift Noah's Ark 2 miles, and the danger is far from over.
If they start having a reaction or find it uncomfortable and they start kicking and moving around, we're in grave danger.
Slowly, they inch down what looks like a river, but which is in fact a flooded highway.
And we were having to go so slow because it was heavy with the animals and the dock.
Finally, they near dry land, and Mr. Jim's one happy horse again. Hurricane Floyd claimed the lives of more than 50 people and devastated entire communities. But it also resulted in some of the most astonishing animal rescues ever witnessed. Between them, Cindy and Buster rescued over 400 animals in a week.
The whole effort was a miracle. No ifs, ands, or buts.
They even found a home for the feisty pig when he eventually came down from the roof of that car. Jimmy and Debbie lost everything, but they rebuilt.
This is the great Mr. Jim, and he'll show you his teeth.
Yeah.
That's his calling card. He shows everybody his teeth. He needs a teeth brushing, but...
Mr. Jim is back with them, and even at the ripe old age of 30, he isn't the least bit camera shy.
Saving him was a miracle because he was my buddy. And we rode many miles together, me and Jim did. And as you can see, he likes to show off.
I have always took care of animals my whole life, and this was just another experience where the job needed to be done and there was nobody to do it, so we had to do it. Somebody has to pick up the slack and take care of the animals.
It made me feel good that so many people were willing to help with the animals. I believe that we're very blessed that we were able to save all of our animals.
It was an incredible, frightening, amazing, heartwarming experience. People just pulled together.
A plague of mice swarms an Australian family farm.
There was hundreds of thousands of millions of them, I'd say.
Rodents ravage the fields. They're in the farmhouse walls and pipes. They fill the night with terror. But when they attack the farm's helpless pigs, they drive this family to the point of despair.
I believe we did the best we could for the animals, but the best wasn't good enough.
Rob Berlin, his wife Marion, daughter Catherine, and son Brad always took pride in their 2,000-acre farm, where they raised pigs, sheared sheep, and grew wheat and barley. But everything changed the summer the mice showed up.
We started to notice that there was a lot of mice in the paddocks, and it became a bit of a concern to us. In our wildest dreams, we didn't believe it would get to the stage that it got to.
At first, Rob sets traps, but it doesn't stop the mice. Within weeks, the swarm grows into a tsunami. They demolish the grain in the field. They attack the silos.
You'd actually see them tracking up along the seams, trying to get to the top to get into them. You'd see them falling off of it.
Being nocturnal creatures, they do most of their marauding at night.
It was like waves of them. At night time, that There was no ground to see. It was just mice moving in.
For Mary in Berlin, the nights are endless as mice lay siege to the family's home. Their sanctuary.
At night time, you can see them running up and down the screens here and chewing the screens and eating the screens off the framework. We could hear them running up and down in the wall cavities. Sometimes they were fighting. They would keep